Tucker Carlson, of all people, is calling out the right for its response after an ICE agent shot and killed a woman in Minneapolis. In his newsletter, Carlson asks, how come so few conservatives are viewing this story through a human lens? And why, when something similar, like the killing of Charlie Kirk, happens on the other side, did many on the left celebrate because they thought his political positions were wrong? You'll remember, this is how the Trump administration described what happened almost immediately after the encounter.
She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle. This appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents, an act of domestic terrorism.
I can believe that her death is a tragedy while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making and a tragedy of the far left who has marshaled an entire movement, a lunatic fringe, against our law enforcement officers.
A little bit more from Carlson. He says, did we disagree with her views on immigration? Probably, but that shouldn't matter. Her death is a tragedy, regardless of her partisan affiliations, ideological beliefs, or who pulled the trigger. A woman was shot in the face. And this kind of speaks to what Paul was saying, Hal, which is that I actually do kind of think that a lot, maybe even most Americans are probably in that place where they think really this shouldn't have happened, and they probably don't like the demonizing of the victim in this case, which is what's being done at the highest levels.
Well, look, I think everyone can agree it's very sad that she got shot and she put herself in that position to do that. I'm not understanding the comparison to Charlie Kirk at all. I'm not sure where Tucker is with that. I can agree with Tucker that absolutely it's tragic. I wish it hadn't happened. I think the officer that did it probably wish it hadn't happened. I think everyone does. Certainly no one's celebrating. Again, there was celebration when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, but I don't think there's anybody on the right celebrating this. I haven't seen that at all. We're talking about it, factually about what happened and whether or not the officer was in the wrong or not. We all know she was in the wrong for what she did. It's a question of what his, response was in that incident. But nobody's saying this isn't tragic or sad.
Well, I think people are not necessarily celebrating it, but justifying her getting shot and inventing a narrative that we can clearly see on the video is not supported. Basically, in 2020, you all may remember Donald Trump, according to then SecDef Mark Esper, asked, why can't you just shoot protesters? Shoot them in the leg or something. He raised this, according to Esper, to General Mark Milley at the time. During his confirmation hearing, current SecDef Hegseth was asked about this by Senator Mazie Hirono at the time. Would you carry out a lawful or an unlawful order like this? He suggested that he would do exactly what the president said. So when we see something like this happen and we see Donald Trump from the Oval Office in front of cameras, we see J.D. Vance from the press room suggest that, yes, this kind of thing is going to happen, and basically give ICE the excuse that you can just shoot people with immunity. You'll be fine. Shoot people with impunity and it's okay. That is a scary thought. And if you've never been on the receiving end, because there is this question around law enforcement of who are they protecting and who are they protecting you from? And there are communities where you don't feel protected by law enforcement. You feel like they are trying to protect certain people from you. Of the people, of the hundreds of thousands of people in ICE custody right now, less than 5% have committed a violent crime. They are snatching innocent people. We are normalizing mass men. And the fact that we're debating it inflates this. It makes it seem like there is a right side to this. It makes it seem like there's something okay about this man shooting this woman. And we can all see what happened. The audience can see what happened on the video. If Ashley Babbitt wasn't a person who caused her own death, then it sounds really hypocritical to suggest that this woman caused her own death.
This is where you lose the American people. You tell them that they're watching a video and they're not seeing what they're seeing. It's telling me
I agree. You guys should
blue
stop
is
doing
yellow,
it.
right? Okay. I mean, hang on a second. What should have happened is to say, we don't know, we're investigating. Instead of saying she's a domestic terrorist, it's clear, we're done.
Can I ask you a question?
Second point is, yeah, go ahead.
Do you think it's right for the governor, the mayor, other Democratic officials within minutes of this happening to say that man is a murderer?
No, that was wrong too. And that's the problem. Then this gets to the Tucker point, and I give him a lot of credit for saying what he's saying. We need to drill down as to why we're desensitized on both sides. Why are people so afraid that they're killing each other over politics?
They're not killing each
Hang
other.
on one second.
This is not a both sides issue. We're not killing each other.
No, people are.
And I saw the video
violence,
and said the man is a
threats
murderer.
of violence.
We saw him shoot somebody point blank.
There's threats of violence. So I think it's a great conversation to start to have in the country, and would be healthy for us to explore that more as to what is causing people, left and right, to be so angry that they threaten violence or see through with violence. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that we have to deal with in the
What
country.
Democratic lawmaker is threatening violence or making these
Well, they
kinds
called
of
ICE agents
inflammatory?
Nazis for the last 6 months.
I'm not talking
Well,
about lawmakers per se.
they do
when you
appear to
call-
mimic the
when you have-
Gestapo.
when you have
but
the
you were
governor
saying
of
that
a
the
state
left and the
calling
right, like
us
it's a
this
both
is
sides
the language
issue.
that causes
I
these
can't
interactions.
say it's all one side.
My language is causing people to get
I'm
shot
saying
in the
it's both
face.
sides.
I doubt it.
There is a
I doubt
radical.
it.
sides.
there is
Your
a-
president suggested
there's-
shooting people, protesters in the leg. That is what
there
causes
is a
violence.
radicalized group of people in this country who believe they have been deputized by Democrats
let me ask
to
you a
impede
question.
active
Same
federal
with
law
people on
I'm
the
not
right.
a Democrat.
Let me
so I
ask
don't
you a
know who's
question.
deputizing
Yes,
anyone.
January
Honestly, I'm
6th.
curious.
It's simply not.
Do you really think that her intention in that moment was to run that officer over?
I mean, I think her intention was to move the car forward with a law enforcement officer standing in front
But
of
do
it.
you think that she meant to try to kill him?
I mean, I don't know, Abby, and I wouldn't have
mean,
any
don't
way
you
of
think
knowing.
that is
all I know,
extremely important?
all I know is
But
that
I
when-
mean, Scott, don't you think that is extremely important as we try to understand what was going on here? I think if you're gonna
Actually, no,
if
I
you're
don't.
gonna but if you're gonna say she was trying to kill him, you're basically saying she intended to kill him, and I asked you just point blank, and you wouldn't say that. So
look-
was she trying to kill him or not?
Well, I think if you're behind the wheel of a 4,500-pound automobile and you gun it towards another human,
Well, she didn't gun it. She turned the wheels to the right.
Can we just say
I know
this?
you-
Can we just say
I know
this?
you're trying to
How many
spin your
people
yarn
have
about
done
it.
this?
She hit the guy in the leg.
This is not normal behavior of a woman. How many people gun a car at a law enforcement officer?
Hold on. Do you think that it is possible that she was trying to escape the interaction?
Escape
Escape?
what? Escape what?
Escape what?
Escape to armed men coming to
I mean,
her
I'm
car.
speaking English. Do you think it's possible that she was trying to escape the interaction?
Escape what interaction?
The interaction with
What do
the
you mean
officer
escape?
who was.
Was she in danger?
Well, two
she's
armed men
surrounded by
were approaching her car,
It's
telling her
very
to get
simple.
out
What
the
part of-
car.
I'm confused. What part of escape is
Well,
not
you
understandable?
escape like as though she were being pursued.
Well,
she was
very
surrounded by
she
driven her
was-
car
she
into a
was
law
being-
enforcement zone.
hold on, she was
was
being-
asked to get out.
She was being
And then
surrounded
she gunned it with a guy
by,
standing in
She
front.
was being surrounded by law enforcement officers.
Yes.
Do you think it is possible that she was trying to flee?
Flee? Yes. And I heard
Okay.
her and I
So-
heard her
so given
wife
that-
say, "Drive,
so-
baby, drive."
Right. So
and then she hit the accelerator.
All right. Great. So
and she
look,
was looking
listen,
dead ahead.
Now I feel like we're all in agreement that it is possible that she was not trying to kill the officer, that she was trying to flee, which may be wrong, but the intent does matter here.
It
because
doesn't.
you are making it sound
It
like
does not
her
matter.
that she showed up there with the intent to kill
No,
that officer.
I have never said that.
There's no.
I have never said that,
evidence
Abby.
of that.
Here's what I believe. She showed up there with the intent to impede active federal law enforcement activities. She put herself in a position with a car in which she made a bad decision that caused the officer to believe his life was in imminent danger. That is not in dispute. Whether she intended to do that or not when she woke up in the morning is irrelevant. What did she do?
Listen,
Drive her car
it
into
does,
the guy.
I think it does matter for the purpose of, I think where really as Paul said, the gray area in this is that the officer made decisions that, we just had Darren here pointing out, he may have made some poor decisions too. She may have made some poor decisions. The problem, though, is that only one person is dead at the end of this interaction. And that is, I think, what's so troubling to so many
And the
people.
comments and the actions of people on both sides immediately afterwards show how anything is politicized now. Like, it was immediate. It was within minutes that she was a domestic terrorist. She's bad. She's
No,
this.
it
Hang
was-
on a
that
second.
was
And then,
not
and then
minutes.
on the other side, the left went a little crazy too. And the problem is that no one's taking a breath and going, what really happened here? I don't think she got up in the morning and decided
They
to
were
run over a
crazy enough
cop.
to look at the video and draw a conclusion.
We gotta go. Next for us, when it comes to Donald Trump's threat to use force against Greenland, if you didn't believe him the first time, then you'll believe him now. Why he says the U.S. may take it over, quote, the hard way.